Welcome, kindred spirits, to a place of positivity, passion, and purpose. Greetings, viewers. Get ready to immerse yourself in the world of Sesamstraat. In this video is a Dutch television series in the Netherlands and a localized version of the US children's program Sesame Street. In its early days, the show was broadcast in Flanders, Belgium as well. It is the second longest-running foreign adaptation of Sesame Street without interruptions, behind only. It targets children between years old. Let's now shift our focus to history and explore the ways in which it shapes our perspective. After a pilot episode entitled Sesame Street, which was released in 1974, began broadcasting in 1976. It started as a Dutch-Belgian co-production, with only one 30-minute episode a week. These episodes had only 12 minutes allotted for the Dutch cast. At the time, there were only 2 Muppets and 3 live actors: Piet Hendricks, Sien Deels, and Annette van Hesten. Piet owned a hobby and crafts workshop and a camper which he would drive around the Netherlands and Belgium for live trips. Sien owned a grocery store, where the exchange of knowledge and happenings were as important as the selling of products. Annette played a kindergarten teacher. In 1978, the show's format changed to a daily 15-minute show that aired in the evening, around dinner time. The first season was shot on location in a half-Dutch, half-Belgian town. It was broadcast every Sunday for a half-hour in the afternoon. For the second season, a realistic town square was built inside the studio, which slowly evolved into a more abstracted, colorful town, featuring Pino's nest, Sien's store, a workshop, 2 houses, an apartment building, a trailer and a tree house. The insides of the house sets could be decorated in different ways so that the viewers would never be certain about who lived where. Other special Sesamstraat episodes include the 2,500th episode and a yearly special episode focused on Sinterklaas. The 25th anniversary of the series featured guest appearances on the street by Dutch celebrities. On January 7, 2000, Prime Minister Wim Kok read the daily story "Er staat een olifant in het gras." There is a little elephant standing in the grass for the Muppet residents before they went to sleep. Wim Kok is one of the many prominent guests who read a story to them. Normally this was done by Frank, Gerda or Paula. Other celebrities that have made guest appearances include Freek de Jong comedian, Ruud Gullit professional soccer player, Andrew Van Duin comedian, Mary Dresselhuys actress, Hans Dagelet actor, Kees van Kooten writer, Bridget Kwijndup comedian, Sonia Boren show host and Janine Castellion youth winner for reading in 2000. In 1992, a 30-minute film, Sesamstraat en Melkweg, was produced for the Artis Zoo Planetarium in Amsterdam. In 2005, the show saw some schedule trouble. The government decided to halt the funding and broadcasts of NPS. The final debate took place on September 12, 2005 in the Tweede Kamer. It was decided that NPS could continue making programs, but it had to make several changes to fit into modern television, including a new broadcast schedule. For the season, Sesamstraat moved into new scenery. The set became completely abstract, with toy block-like buildings, broccoli for trees, and a tower with a giant light-up clock. The scenery was introduced with a TV special. Bert, Ernie, Cookie Monster, and Elmo flew over to the Netherlands for this special occasion. It was the first time the American characters visited the Dutch street. Starting in September 2006, Sesamstraat expanded to 30 minutes and began airing 3 times a day. In 2008, the show received 15 minutes of extra broadcast time a day. This meant there was room for 2 more Muppets. Anspers and Stunt Kit were introduced. October 2009 brought a new segment for the show. Several famous Dutch singers performed duets with the Sesamstraat characters Pino, Tommy, Eenie Meenie and Perk. All songs were written by Henny Rinton. The segments aired every Friday starting October 30, 2009. Among the artists were Triant Oosterhuis, Caro Emerald, Andrew Van Duin, Edzilia Rombly, Ernst Daniel Smid, Hind, Goose Meeuwis, Hoop van der Lub and Willeke Alberti. All the duets were broadcast again in a special on December 25 and 28. On June 28, 2019, the NTR made public that they had to economize again and decided to stop producing the series for the following 2 years. Reruns were broadcast instead. In this part of the video, we'll Frasict War. In this section, we'll be exploring Tommy. Tommy is a 6-year-old dog. He is clever, energetic and creative. Tommy can write a few words, including his own name, which he is very proud of. He is famous for his own made-up exclamations, like Pohee, approximately pronounced as Puhe and Hatzeflitz. In the season, Tommy got his own racing car. Tommy has been around since the beginning in 1976. The first Tommy puppet was made by producer Ton Haesbers from an old fur coat. He was a teddy bear-like creature that walked on all fours. Through the years he evolved from a teddy bear kind of creature to a more dog-like animal. Tommy's recent look, which was introduced in 1981, was designed by the Jim Henson Company. The recently refurbished Tommy has a lot more fur in his face. Like Pino, Tommy has had a few different performers, including Stiff van der Linden in 1976 and Martin Pracht in 1978. In 1979, Bert Plagman became Tommy's performer after sharing the part with Martin. Renmenshar Pino's performer and Judith Brosen Perk's performer both started their Sesamstraat careers as Tommy's right hand. Nowadays, Daphne Zandberg performs Tommy's right hand. Our focus now turns to Eenie, an important aspect of our discussion. Representing the psychological age of a 6-year-old mouse, Eenie is the oldest of the group. She is very clever and smart alecky, and sometimes she tends to be a little bossy. Her best friend is Tommy. Being the smallest rodent on Sesamstraat, she often hangs out with Pino. Eenie is famous for her giggle, as well as her signature movements like scrunching her nose when she's angry or raising her shoulders when she's confused. Eenie was introduced in 1980. She started out as a mouse who lived in a hole. Through the years, when female emancipation wasn't as much as an issue on the street, her personality became more childlike and girlish. The puppet has been refurbished a few times, but without drastic changes, except for the 1996 anniversary special, in which Eenie legs were shown for the first time, during a still-talking scene. Eenie performer is Catherine van Woerden. Her arm rods are manipulated by either Marij Koch or Linde Boogerman. Now, let's shift our perspective and explore Troll through a fresh lens, unlocking new perspectives. Troll is a fluffy white girl poodle. She is very feminine and a little nov, and she speaks in a high-pitched voice. Troll is the girlfriend of Tommy. Troll was introduced during the second season in 1977 as the first girl Muppet to star with Tommy and Pino. She was designed to look like a girl version of Tommy. Troll was performed by Marij Boon. Even though the viewers had no problems with her, the producers found her too feminine for a show that dealt with female emancipation, so she disappeared after a year. A newspaper article mentions another reason for her disappearance. Her performer didn't get paid as much as the male performers. Troll was replaced by Eenie a couple of years later. The Dutch word troll means dear or sweetheart in a more informal, sometimes even negative way. In the next phase, we'll be immersing ourselves in the realm of Perk and exploring its real-world applications. Perk is a baby piglet who wears a diaper and a little bow in her ear. She is clumsy and messy and loves to get herself dirty. She is still learning how to talk, and she can't walk yet. She is taken care of by everyone on Sesamstraat. Introduced in 2003, Perk is the newest of the Muppet characters. She was created in order to introduce the subject of a younger child in the family. While the Dutch wanted her to be fat, they felt that Perk should not be too fat due to the issue of obesity. It took 3 years for Sesame Workshop to approve the character. The actual puppet was based on a drawing by Sesamstraat actor and mime artist Hakeem Trader. Perk debuted in a Sesamstraat Sinterklaas special as a surprise. In the special, Tommy runs away from Sesamstraat after the adults gave his stuffed crocodile to Perk. Before the taping of the special, Sesamstraat organized a press convention about Perk's birth, hosted by Tommy and Eenie Meenie. Perk was designed by Ed Christie and built by Rory Cruson. In the upcoming section, we'll be dissecting humans in Sesamstraat and exploring its implications in greater detail. Boeman Bosch, a grumpy neighbor from the Mansardstraat Poppy Seed Street, hating being disturbed by the people and especially the Muppets of Sesamstraat. His nickname means literally neighbor bossy, being so called because in his first episode in 2003 he encountered Tommy with the word Bosch. Since then everyone calls him like that, although his real name is Drommels. He is played by Martin van Wardenburg. Elvin Hills was introduced in 1997, taking over the role of a teenage character from Lot. Frank Grutheth joined in 1983 in the role of a naughty young guy. Later he became more a kind of funny uncle towards the children. Gerda Haverton joined in 1984 as a nice aunt. Since 1997 Gerda became a less seen character, while the actress Gerda Haverton took up the role of Gerda's sister Peach, a funny Surinamese lady who is always using naughty tricks on everyone. Hakeem Trader joined in 1984. He is an often silent mime character, often in his own inserts. In his first episodes he never talked, but later he was more seen in stories in the street and spoke more. Lot Lord joined in 1988, taking over the role of a teenage character often referred as Lotch by Menaert. Since 1995 she is more in the role of a working mother, often seen behind a laptop. Lex Gaussmit, a grandpa figure from 1984 until his death in 1999. Menaert Storch debuted in 1984. His role was that of a mildly cranky old man who would grumble at the childish antics of the Muppet cast, and who would sometimes complain about how the old days used to be better. He was introduced as a foil after one of the scenario writers remarked that the show was too saccharine, referring to Sesamstraat as a paradise without a snake. Nonetheless, he became a well-loved character among the people who grew up with him. Menaert demanded to be called Menaert Mr. Ert, and he saw himself as the most important man of the street. Since the death of Lex, Ert has sometimes taken up the role of a grandpa. Just like the other characters, he doesn't like Boeman Bosch. He always calls Pino. But Storch's performance of Mr. Ert was loved by many, and he continued to perform this character for over 40 years until his death on the 12th of January 2020. Paula Slipe joined in 1982. Her role is some kind of grandma, but since 1996 in a more stern way. In the Paula Slipe also played the character of the Baroness, a silly and dumb lady with a French accent. After 28 years, she left the show in 2010. Rick Houdon debuted in 1993 as Mr. Ert's nephew, although he never calls Ert his uncle. Rick is a clumsy young man, trying to do silly inventions, which often do not work. He is also a thick man, who enjoys eating and hates sports. He left the cast in 2007. Scene Deals was already in the first episode in 1976. She runs a store. In the first seasons, she was often wearing overalls and using tools, because of the focus on female emancipation. Thanks for being a part of this amazing journey. I can't wait to bring you more exciting content.